Okay, let's start our deep dive into page 2 of the 2025 Oklahoma residential sales contract. So, up at the top of the page, we're going to see the property identifier again as the mailing address of the property. Typically, sometimes it can be the legal. And then in the first paragraph, you were going to see it's broken down as to who pays what at closing. So, what of the closing fees are the buyer's responsibility, and what of the closing fees are the seller's responsibility. And then next, we're going to see accessories, equipment, and systems. These are the things that come with the property or come with the house. Typically, if it's attached to the house, it stays with the house. If it's not attached, it's considered personal property and it goes. If there's any additional inclusions that the buyer is concerned about or they want to make sure stay with the property, they can put those in under additional inclusions. If there's anything that they want excluded from the property, a car behind a detached garage should be excluded, but if it's got a tree growing up through the middle of it that's something that's important to the buyer, make sure that you add that in there. You can also look at the MLS. Sometimes it'll be good to refer back and see if there's something noted in the MLS that is specifically going to be excluded or included, and you can go ahead and make sure that that's covered in there. So next, we've got the time period specified in the contract. So this is going to be the where the time reference date is, and all dates going forward from this part of the contract are going to refer back to the time reference date and not to the date of the offer or the date of the signature. So I'm a big fan of typing in a definitive date there. If you don't type in a date, then you can do some math and figure out what it is. But if as long as the date's typed in, then it's clear and there's no room for misunderstanding there. So the residential property condition disclosure, this is the 4-page form that the sellers fill out that tells you everything that's working or not working at the property to the best of their knowledge. However, no representations made by the seller regarding the condition of the property are expressed or implied. So that is why it is important that buyers do inspections, which is the next part of the contract. The contract defaults to 10 days to do the inspections after the time reference date. Depending on how fast you can get an inspector scheduled to go out, you could set that date as short as 5 days and try to get it done really quick if you have an inspector that can get out and get the inspection done that fast. Or especially during the summer, sometimes when things are really busy, it's hard to get inspectors out there. So 10 days really isn't enough, and 15 is better. But use that as one of the negotiation tools with the contract on how we're trying to get this together so it's the best possible contract for the seller and for the buyer. So, who can inspect the property? The buyer can choose anyone that they see fit. So it can be their Uncle Jack, it could be their dad. That's always kind of the kiss of death with contracts. But if that's who they choose, then that's who it can be. It just doesn't have to be somebody who's licensed or insured necessarily, just somebody that the buyer feels comfortable with and trusts their opinion. And then again, at the bottom of the page, we have buyer's initials and seller's initials, just letting everybody know that everybody's seen this part of the contract. So next, page 3.